Hi, Joseph Clay here with my day 4 of Royal Ascot. This podcast is sponsored by Equine Match. Knowledge is power, and they have a full spectrum of different tools to make you be able to breed a better racehorse, as well as punting tools as well. So this week has been a really tough week for us here. And I'm sorry we haven't been able to come up with some good winners. It's frustrating. Each year it gets harder and harder, particularly, coming from the United States. But it was interesting that the elite status that won the race yesterday. Sorry, I should say Valiant Force that won the the Norfolk Stakes that we tipped out was by a horse called Malibu Moon. Very precocious speed horse in the United States, dirt stallion. And this horse had, the figures were completely, he was on the very bottom of it. It was unusual that you never see a horse like this can be able to win a race at Royal Ascot. But my deduction is that he'd been in Ireland and trained and been in a number of races, and he was physically just that much more precocious than the European bred horses, and that he's been able to train on gallops in a much more naturalistic setting where they give time for the horses, and it really benefited. And he had been raced before several times. So it's very interesting. We've been getting some really good feedback, actually, just because I've been talking a bit more about what we do. And there's another fellow horseman, Tony Hills, that had mentioned that another perspective about racing in England particularly is that horses for courses, and so many horses have just react better going right-handed. They react differently going left-handed in the different tracks and the different terrain, and that's a whole kind of another perspective that you have to consider. And you all know that out there, you punters. I'm just kind of bringing this tool that we utilize, particularly the dosage tool. And if you haven't watched our podcast, the Vullier dosage tool from Equine Match that measures the 6 foundation sires of the Thoroughbred that have a prepotent influence on each horse. So Hermit is turn of foot, Gallopin is length of stride, Hampton is toughness, and Insanemy is horses that train on later in their career. Particularly a lot of German bred horses are more higher in that element than a lot of British bred horses. Bindor, precocious speed, this number is higher. So if you look at the Norfolk Stakes, Valiant Force, who won that race, really has high Bindor. The same as American Rascal, actually. But American Rascal had been out of Lady Aurelia by this dirt stallion, Curlin, has been trained in the States, just at the track. And Valiant Force has been trained in Ireland, where they utilize, they have gallops and they can build a bit more endurance into the horse. And physically, that horse obviously had to be more dominant than the other European breds to be able to beat horses that have more stamina. So it's quite fascinating. We had picked Thunder Blue, and Thunder Blue was on the far side and was leading that group, and just was never able to quicken, but was fifth. So we're going to go for the last, well, we're tipping just today on Friday, the Albany Stakes, 2:30. And Spencer Chapman, who's the creator of Equine Match, he was talking about Pretty Crystal as a horse that has a really good, utilizing the breeding tools. They have a higher percentage of horses that are stakes class, and that horse came up, as well as on the dosage side of it. Pretty Crystal has really strong a turn of foot, striding ability, and speed and stamina. So this horse is 25-1, trained by Richard Fahey. Is by DeBowie out of a Group 3 winning mare. So DeBowie's a really hot stallion, one of the best out there. The Carla's Way, trained by Simon Crisford, is the favorite. Made all, has a high stamina index. I mean, this horse is a favorite, 5-1, and definitely should be in the frame. I mean, just the way that led from the start in the last race. And then we have Matrika from Aidan O'Brien. It scores very high on our system. It's actually up there. It's just right under. Matrika is the top. This horse is more stamina profile, which, is good. I think these are 3 good horses for the TriCast. I'm going to go. I just feel that it's worth the odds with Richard Fahey. He had a second yesterday. So I have Pretty Crystal by DeBowie, trained by Richard Fahey, to win the Albany Stakes. And then I have Simon Crisford's horse Carla's Way to place, and Aidan O'Brien's filly Matrika to place. Boxies, Alice. And appreciate you all watching our podcast channel, and we'll be kind of reaching out to select meetings through the race meetings of this summer in the UK. Just remember to utilize time form. There's a lot of different services out there. I think it's really just knowledge is power, just to be able to build, looking at it from many different dimensions to get the right information to make that selection for your bets. Good luck, and thank you for watching our podcast.